Hi, this is Michael Ogden for Solo Project Group 114, and my project is called Healthcare Costs and Lifestyle in the United States. My research question is, what is the determining factor in medical costs? And the dataset I chose is a sample dataset from a book by Brett Lance called Machine Learning with R, and it contains 1,338 entries of sample U.S. citizens with multiple attributes such as whether or not they smoke, age, body mass index, number of children, region of the United States, and finally, most importantly, a sum of charges to their insurance provider. Now, for my exploratory data analysis, I wanted to plot the four attributes that I found the most interesting onto plots against charges, just to see the general relationship between each of them to two charges. Now, first of all, if we look at age, it follows an expected trend of charges going up as people get older without any major unexpected dips or rises. Next, if we look at children, it actually has an unexpected parabola where it falls off after 4 or 5 children. And I have no way to explain this. Next, going on to smoker and non-smoker, there's a stark difference between not only the average between the two, as non-smokers average around $6,000 per year, while smokers average around $30,000 per year. Also, the spread is incredibly higher for smokers, as they reach much higher and much lower compared to their average than non-smokers do. Now, finally, with BMI, it follows a slight XY trend, but it is all over the place, so you can't really draw any conclusions from this alone. Now, I initially wanted to do something with region until I realized that it was only split into 4, and since that's so general, I don't think you can draw any real conclusions from it. But I thought it would be useful to use this just to see if these trends follow across all the regions of the United States. And if we look at each one using this filter, we can see there are some slight differences, such as the parabola changing in certain ways with children, or there being different spikes on age, but the general trends all stay the same. Age follows a normal trend, number of children creates a parabola, smoker and non-smoker has a stark difference, and finally BMI is all over the place but still follows a slight trend. And with that, I think we can ignore region safely. Now, going on, I wanted to ignore charges by number of children just because the trend was so different than the others and you can't really explain it in any way. So we left that alone. Now, moving on to the analysis, the one thing you could take away from the EDA is simply you could jump to the conclusion that smoking is the most influential just because there's such a stark difference between the average between the two and the spread of the charges. But to be able to get a better comparison, I thought I should plot age and BMI in a similar manner just to be able to look at them side by side. So what I did was I needed to split age and BMI into groups since they're just scaling up, as you can see in these plots. So I split age into two groups across the medium age of 41, and for BMI I split them up into the different body mass index classes that are defined, which range from healthy, overweight, obese, to extremely obese. Now, the first things first is that with the BMI class, what you notice is that, sorry, these are out of order. I wasn't able to figure out how to get them in order in Tableau, but if you look at them, there is a slight trend where there's more of a spread the higher BMI you have, but the averages are very similar, and overall these spreads are quite similar, and it seems that obese actually has a higher spread than extremely obese does. So it seems that BMI isn't exactly a purely deciding factor of the amount of medical charges. Now, if we look at age, this is what we expected, where there is a around $5,000 difference in the averages between the two, but the spreads are very similar, and overall they look quite similar. So you could still jump straight to the conclusion that smoking is the most influential, but I think it would be more valuable to see um, if smoking overpowers age within these two groups. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to plot charges and smoking within the two different age groups. Now, if they were very different, then that would mean that the age took prominence over smoking, because that would mean that age causes higher charges no matter what, if you're a smoker or not. But if the two charts looked very similar, then that would mean that smoking takes prominence over it. And if we look at the two charts here, that is what we see. We see that with ages above 41, now what you have to notice is that this chart actually starts from 5,000 instead, well, this one starts from 0. So that means that there's around 5,000 difference between these two, even though they look almost the exact same. So that means that people age 41 plus have around $5,000 increase, which follows our previous plot where there's a 5,000 difference. So it is safe to assume that smoking takes a higher precedence over age, since these are both the same. Now, to prove that smoking is the most prominent, I think the simplest way to do it would be to see what of the majority, or sorry, what of the total charges smokers are responsible for compared to non-smokers. And so I create a pie chart here of smokers and non-smokers, and if you look, it looks actually very similar, and smokers actually average slightly less charges, and so you might say, well, that looks like they're about the same, but this is where you have to look at other things. In the EDA, we found out that there was 1,064 non-smokers, while there was only 274 smokers. And so what that means is that only 274 of the 1,338 entries account for nearly half of the charges. More specifically, 20.5%, which is how much the smokers are, makes up 49.5% of the total sum charges. Now, I think this is the starkest uh, demonstration that smoking is the most influential on healthcare costs out of all these charts that I found. And with this, I think this sufficiently proves that smoking is the most influential of these attributes on healthcare costs. Thank you.